What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY and the overall markets. I want to talk about some very important levels to watch for and how things are looking, in my personal opinion. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Webull link. If you deposit any amount of money, you're guaranteed 12 free stocks. Put in $500 and you're guaranteed 20. Put in $25,000 more and you're guaranteed 75. That offer ends in just about 4 weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with Tesla. So Tesla has this resistance at this 250 area. We now have support at 247, the exact levels I called out. And so far, we're doing a good job at holding up. I did mention everyone a bounce should be coming for Tesla, and that's what happened thus far. However, I do want to call out that the market approach to tough resistance has been slowing down just a bit. And as a result, Tesla's been following that trend. So I want to be watching these very, very key levels for Tesla and also talk about something else. So there's not really much data coming out for the remainder of the day. The unemployment numbers were decent, and the news about the strikes ending has been more positive for the markets, which is why the market started to rebound. However, I do want to call out that SPY hit a very, very tough resistance. It started slowing down a bit once it hit that, and now we're still range bound. Tesla, on the other hand, is still holding up despite that. Now, for the rest of the day, there's not really much coming out. Like I said, we just have a couple of Fed speakers. We have like Williams giving a speech. I think someone else is too, but it's all very, very minor. So the majority of the data is out. For our options chain, as of right now, we have a 1.87 puts to call ratio. So we start to see more calls being bought. Let me just reload this so it's up to date. We have 5, 6, 7 is our max pain. So very interesting to see. So what do I see from this point on for the markets? I think we're going to see a lot of sideways price action. So what happened was Tesla got this big pump. So we started off yesterday at the low at 238. Then we gapped up a little bit and started pumping all the way back up to about 250. So 12 points up for Tesla. Not bad whatsoever. And I think that approaching the Robotaxi event, which is going to be in about 6 days from now, Tesla is going to be looking at some very, very big price action, a lot of volatility, maybe some upside approaching that event. So get ready for that. Now, for now, I think that Tesla is going to be fighting at this 250 resistance. And I think we're going to be shuffling a lot between 250 and then 247, which if we do fail to hold, we are at risk of coming back down to about 244. So those are going to be three important levels: 250, 247, and 244. I think Tesla will be shuffling around here a lot. That's what I'm seeing for the time being. When you look at the 5 minute time frame, you can see what Tesla did. It basically pumped really nicely, and since then, it's been kind of trading in this range. We'll see if we can try to crack past 250 to get up to 252. As of right now, I think we're just going to be range bound, trading sideways. So that's all I'm seeing for the time being. For SPY, what happened was we got this big pump. We came very close to all-time highs. We consolidated, and then we saw this thing dump after the first like half hour. It's been dipping back down. So we're going to be looking at some very, very key levels. So the first level of interest is going to be around this 570 area. This is going to be a tough resistance at our 20 and 50 EMAs on the 5 minute time frame. Our support to watch for is at 568.92. If that fails us, we're looking at 568 as support. And if that fails us, we dip all the way down to 566. So watch 568 as the main support. If that fails us, we're going down to 566. And for resistance, I would say we could get closer to 570. But like I said before, I'm not expecting too much. It is a Friday and there might be a lot of choppy price action. So we're not expecting way too much. The 4 hour is also showing us that we have this wick that formed here, which is a potential sign of a rejection. I want to mention to you all that there's a possible head and shoulders on SPY. This could be like a left shoulder here. This could be a head, and then this could be like a right shoulder that formed. The level is very close to where the left shoulder was, and we have this imbalance down here. So that's a kind of like bearish metric. We'll see if that ends up panning out. So watch for that very carefully. For Nvidia, we have something very similar. This is kind of like a slanted head and shoulders like structure. If we end up losing basically 121, this might be tipping all the way down to about 119 and then 117. We have resistance all the way up here around this 125 area. So I'm going to be watching this very, very carefully. The head and shoulders remains. So we'll see how Nvidia does here. This is just a pattern, doesn't guarantee anything. So look at this resistance. I was talking about Nvidia might push all the way up to this high around the 126 to 127 area. I think we came just short. We hit 125.5, coming just short of that, which is okay. So watch 125. If we can't reclaim that, we're at risk of coming back down to 121. I think Nvidia may shuffle a lot for today, but be careful if this head and shoulders does end up heading out. We'll be very, very patient nonetheless heading into next week. For Bitcoin, we attempted to bounce. I said we had to break past uh, 61,600. And if that broke, we'd be looking for 62,000 plus. Instead, we touched 62,000, then we rejected so far on Bitcoin. So just like SPY, it was trying to break it only to reject. I'm watching the main support at around 60,775. If that fails us, we're looking for a bigger dip towards the 60,000 area. We'll be watching to see if we get this rejection or not, but so far we're doing a good job at holding up. So give this the time it needs. For other factors out there, we have NQ. NQ is once again, so we got this nice wick right here. We'll have to see how this ends up reacting as we have this bearish looking structure. If we reject here, if we don't hold 20,050, we could be tipping back down towards 19,800 all over again. If we break past 20,200, we could turn back up, but there is a risk of this forming a wick here and coming back down now. But that depends on if we end up losing 20,050 or not. If we do lose that, I could see NQ dipping. Hasn't lost support yet. The Qs are holding up a lot better. So is the NASDAQ. So it's holding better than others out there as tech is still decent. For the QQQ, I want to call out that this kind of looks like a head and shoulders. And you also have to look at this as a wick is forming here. So if we end up losing 481.75 on the QQQ by today or next week, we should be dipping back down to about 475. So we have a very important support at 481. We haven't lost that yet. We're holding it very nicely just under 485. So 485 and 488 are the resistance areas. If 481.75 fails us, though, we could be dipping down to fill this gap. So I'll be watching this to see if that ends up being the case. For Apple, Apple is kind of rejecting here as well. We're still range bound. So we have this resistance at 226.65 and support to watch for around 223.75. If that fails us, we're looking for 222.25. That's where we have this gap to fill. So we have a bearish divergence on Apple. It's coming down. I was hoping it would push a little bit higher to about 229. We came just short. Now we're rejecting again. So it's coming back down. We could come down to fill this gap now. So Apple kind of popped and then dropped. So watch for that. For the IWM Russell 2000, we formed a nice wick. We went up to about 220, coming just short of 221. Now we're coming back down. So we need to hold above 218. If we can't do that, we're at risk of coming back down to about 215. And if 215 fails us, we could be coming down to fill this gap. So I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. For Coinbase, Coinbase got this big rejection. We have this 50 EMA around this 170 to 168 area as the resistance. Coin pumped up there. I was hoping we'd break that. We actually came short. We rejected. So if we get a rejection, we're looking for 162 as our main support. If coin loses that, this is going to be dumping all the way down to 156. So be careful with that. For Amazon, it's the same setup. This pumped, it was trying to push, trying, especially after the port strike ending news. That was very, very bullish news for Amazon. So we got this nice pump, but the market's struggling to hold at these levels. So Amazon, it came back down. So we have 185.5 and 186.5 as the resistance area. We're forming a wick here, which is not a good sign. This could actually retrace. We have 182.94 as our support. If we lose that support, I see this dipping all the way down to 180, and then 178 around there is going to be coming next. So Amazon could be forming a rejection. It hasn't officially done that, but there is a risk of that. Meta pumps very nicely, but like I said in my previous videos, we have a quadruple bearish divergence that is forming. So I would want to see this lose at least 575 to turn back down. Hasn't officially done that. We'll see if we could hold above 580. If we don't hold this, I see 575 coming. I'll be waiting for that very carefully. For Microsoft, we look a little bit more bearish. We pumped and dumped. I was thinking that this could attempt to try to hold above 420. We did not hold it. We pushed to 420, then just rejected straight up. So we're back to the bearish cycle. So we're looking at 414 and 409 as our supports. Google, on the other hand, is holding up decently, but we'll see if this is a potential topping structure, because what could be happening is we had a top here, we came down, at a lower high, came down. If we lose 166, we're looking for a dip back down to 165. We'll see if that ends up being the case or not. For Bitcoin, the VIX, I wanted to call out that we came down to fill our gap, and now we're trying to bounce off our 20 EMA. So this is still on an uptrend right here, right? You can draw out this nice little uptrend on the VIX. It's holding support technically so far, and it's not looking too bad. So this is doing a decent job as support is holding. It's possible we hold support and just continue to uptrend, and we eventually try to come up to fill this gap. So it's very possible that's going to happen. If this holds, This could be a sign that this is about to bounce. If we do get that bounce, this is going to be doing a good job. So I'll be watching this carefully. If this does bounce and bounce and bounce, that could be a bearish signal for the market. So we'll see about that. The dollar is also breaking out still. It's still breaking out. So this could be another sign that's bearish for the markets. We'll see about that. So once again, guys, as far as Tesla goes, we do have a tough resistance at 250. If that does break, we're looking for 252 all over again. I think Tesla's going to be range bound for the most part. But going into next week, it might try to outperform the market with the robotaxi event. We should be looking for a push approaching the event. So Tesla should try to outperform the market, but the broader markets are showing a little bit of weakness. So be careful, guys. We'll see how things end up going. Watch your key levels and be very, very patient. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. Please have a great day. I'll see you guys in a couple of hours for another one, and peace out.